We have arrived at meditative concentration. And I know that y'all are experts at meditation, but I thought we would review what a good practice looks and sounds like. And if you are an expert, then the invitation is for you to come to this particular session with a beginner's mind. And if you still find yourself mind wandering and you haven't realized as a fully awakened being, well, then maybe you'll learn something. The circumpunct is, to me, a really wonderful representation of our meditation practice. And those of you in the advanced immersion know that we've been kind of taking this to the next level. But today what I want to do is kind of reintroduce the circumpunct, because without it, the rest of it kind of doesn't happen. I mean, yeah, there's a few Eckhart Tolles in the world who seemingly sit down on a park bench, have a nervous breakdown, and come out the other side a realized being. But for most of us, it doesn't happen like that. For most of us, we have to have a strong practice. And then I think he's picked up a practice, right? I think we have to have a strong practice in order for the clutter to fall away. So you can think of the circumpunct in a three-dimensional context as like a snow globe. And you are the dot in the middle. And the things that are happening in that dot are what's called internal awareness, introspective awareness. Now, this is a little tricky because, as you know, attention means where you direct your mind. Introspective awareness are the things that are happening within you as you sit. Introspective awareness is really important because these are the things that can become distractions. So the center of the dot is you. It's not the things around you. Introspective awareness. So when you have thoughts or sensations in your body, those are the objects of your life, your mandala, that if you move your attention off the object, which for our purposes is the sensation of breath, onto those objects, that's forgetting. You've forgotten what you came here for. You've forgotten, your attention has moved off the object. Now, let's say a dog barks. That's here. Those objects are happening in your extrospective field of awareness. So if you're here and your attention is on the sensation of breath and the dog barks and you remain right here, it's just a sound in the background, then you haven't forgotten. If your attention goes to the dog and then it goes to, oh, I forgot to give the dog water. Oh, I forgot to feed the dog. Oh, I have the best dog on earth. All of a sudden, you've slipped into mind wandering. So this is actually how meditation works. And I'm going to go through it one more time because this is sort of like the keys to the kingdom. Take a moment to look around you. Everything you can see is your mandala. It's your field of awareness. Anything you can hear, the air on your skin, the sounds. That's your mandala, it's your world. And then there's obviously things happening outside of the snow globe, right? There's something happening in France right now. I don't know what it is, but I could Google it. we don't worry about that stuff. We're just concentrating on our own personal mandala. So you're a good meditator, you got your object, the sensation of breath, and you're abiding with the breath, and your attention, not awareness, attention is on the sensation of breath. And then there's thoughts that pop up behind, in the background. If they remain like a cloud in the sky, they are not distractions. And I'm going to repeat that. If you don't engage those things, they're not a distraction. Now, if you face them, if you notice them, that's not a distraction either. And that's what we're doing right now in advanced meditation immersion, is that we're noticing that we're simply noticing. Every 6 breaths or so, we're actually looking at what's there. So there is no denial of your experience. No denying your experience. If there's a really juicy thought back there, like, ooh, my to-do list, and you move your attention from sensation of breath to the to-do list, and then all of a sudden you're writing it, and all of a sudden you're on the beach in Tahiti with a green smoothie in your hand, you've forgotten and you move to mind wandering. So too with life. So this is why this is important. And this is sort of the keys to the kingdom. And I'm hoping you're hearing me. In order to understand how life really works, you have to be able to steady your mind single pointedly, stay awake, not fall asleep, and explore the nature of reality. So that's what we're doing in retreat. We're allowing our mind to get quiet enough to be able to single pointedly explore the nature of our reality. Nothing's a distraction until you glob onto it. Those are just there, like clouds in the sky. When your attention moves to them, but you still have attention on the breath, still not a problem. That's a noticing. You might label. Glob onto it, start to go down the rabbit hole, but you remember, oh wait, I'm meditating. That's the aha. That's called introspective awareness. You're aware suddenly that you are off the object. By the way, that is not of your own volition. Your mind simply gets trained to do that. This is why having a regular meditation practice is so important. Because those aha moments, it's like, is it Pavlov, the dog? It's very Pavlovian. You're setting yourself up for success by having frequent aha moments. The only way that you can have frequent aha moments is if you're practicing every day. And in addition to whatever your fun practices, like for those of us who like mantra or those of us who have crazy visualizations and all of that, this is really single pointed concentration that I would say, if you don't want to use sensation of breath, you could use the sensation of hands or something like that. But I think the breath, for a lot of reasons, is the way to go. So, 10, 15 minutes of shamatha every day is really important. So just one more tip. So the aha moment, you don't have control over. The only place in the breath cycle that you have agency is before the forgetting happens. Once the forgetting happens, then you've gone into this place that you don't have volition. You don't have agency. So you have to catch your tendency to glob onto those distractions, that's the only place you have agency. One of the things you can start doing is to notice what the sorts of distractions are that you personally have. And you might even write them down in your meditation journal. And I've added, so Culadasa talks about gross and subtle distractions. And I've added a third label, which is stealthy. So gross distractions are the big things that are popping up when you meditate. So if an example would be, if you've just gotten into it with your partner, or like there's something, you know that your bank account is about to go negative, or something, something kind of in your face, that's a gross distraction. It's very difficult to not engage it. But you might notice there's themes. So like, it seems like they're random, but what we've been exploring and what I think is pretty true is that most of us really only have a handful. They might come dressed in different clothes. So like, for example, anxiety. I don't like to think of myself as a very anxious person, but I have so much pressure right now in so many different places. Like I have 2 jobs, plus I have, a house and all of these things. My anxiety level is really high. And so when the gross distractions come knocking, they're pretty big. They're like, oh my God, how am I going to? So if you're going through a big transition in your life, you might notice, what those are. Subtle distractions are probably a little bit more repetitive. And then stealthy it's pretty tricky, but it's sort of like this underlying theme that's just waiting for your mind to get quiet enough. And so for me, it's what's the next great idea? Is it a line for a book? Is it something like Mind Oasis? For you artists in the house, it might be what's like the brilliant thing I'm going to paint or create. It's sort of like when you hear meditators say that their best thinking or ideas come out of their meditation practice. And I'm always like, oh, I get it, because that's how Mind Oasis was born. But like, I always wonder, is it like, Culadasa calls them the eureka moments, where you're like, oh my God, I'm brilliant. And I always wonder, like, is it really that brilliant? Or is it really just a really juicy distraction? And that one I have to really watch, because it's always just like, it's hovering right here. Like, is she going to get quiet enough for me to, give her a pretend brilliant idea? So you got to watch them all 3.